All right, good morning, guys. This is Coffee Talk, and it's Friday morning at 9 a.m. And I have some guests on today from not just around the country, but around our state. Kerry Accardi from 420 Media, and the one and only Miss Carrie McLean Knight. And I think we have Colleen joining us as well. And Colleen, Colleen, you look so pretty.
I know.
You look like me.
You brought
look like a
Here, he can't. This is a no man Friday. I'm the only one.
No man Friday.
Why do you keep bringing me in?
Good morning, ladies. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Oh, I love your mug. So the ladies were just going over their morning ritual, which I know Colleen's probably had her morning ritual. Cannabis and coffee. Kerry, I love your shirt.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice.
So Kerry, let's start with you. How's it going? Where are you at? I know you are all over the country most of the year. You've been interviewing people for the last 5 to 6 years. What are you doing during this quarantine, and physically, where are you at today?
So physically, I'm in North Carolina at my mom's. She has a house out here. So I came here a few months ago to hibernate and work on a project actually before our forced hibernation. So I've been out here working on our new TV channel that we're going to be launching on 4 OTT networks. So Roku, Apple, Android TV, Fire Stick TV, 2 apps and online. And that's what I've been working on, really taking the content, like you said, we've been filming for the past 6 years, from different interviews, series, commercials, all different stuff. So a lot of those are going into edits and different programming styles from, docuseries to documentary as we go into pre-production for up.
Did I lose you? Hello?
Carrie.
Kerry,
I
I think I lost Kerry there.
Oh, she's coming back.
I think I lost Kerry. But so for those of you that have probably seen Kerry at some of the events all across the country, she's been interviewing cannabis professionals and people since I met her. Back in, I think we met her, Pete, in 2014 in Denver at the MJ Biz, not the MJ Biz, but the other one, Randy's event.
Oh, yeah.
Randy's event. And so I know she's been putting together a lot of content, and we'll hear more when she comes back. Kerry, how about yourself? Kerry, what have you been doing? What's going on in Jacksonville?
Oh, God. I'm in Jax Beach. I can't speak for Jacksonville. I try not to cross the ditch unless I have to. I'm quarantined in Jacksonville Beach, so we opened the beach today at 5, and I'm excited about that. Other than that, I've just been trying to be a teacher, a VPK teacher, a first grade teacher, a music teacher, art teacher, social studies teacher, PE teacher, whatever else. Oh, and definitely bringing back prayer and spankings to school.
I saw that. So how many children are you teaching? How large is your class size?
Oh, 2. That's all I can handle.
2. And that's it's a handful, I'm sure.
Well, I can tell you I brought Mr. Do-Right out. It's a wooden spoon, and his name is Mr. Do-Right. And all I have to do is show Mr. Do-Right. And all of a sudden, everybody shapes up real quick.
Mr. Do-Right. Now, Colleen, your children are obviously, they're grown. Are you doing any homeschooling with Pete?
No, every day. But luckily my kids are older. Yeah, they're 13 and 23, so I don't have any schooling or
no schooling or anything like that.
They're independent, which is really nice. Yeah.
The same here. I don't even know what I would do if I had to try. Oh, there's Kerry. She's back. So, Kerry, we were just touching on, what Kerry is doing over in Jax Beach, with some homeschooling. You don't have anyone you're schooling right now young ones or any nieces, nephews out there that you're tuning in to give cannabis education to?
I mean, do moms count?
Yeah.
No children here. No children here. My nieces and nephews are in New Jersey.
You know, I think we've all taken on the roles of educators in the cannabis industry over the years, you know, and we've been actually having a much harder group of people to teach because adults, you know, are set in their thoughts, set in their ways, and it's very hard to introduce new ideas and new thoughts to adults. Whereas as children, you know, a lot of them have more open minds, you know, we find, and, you know, it's a little bit easier to educate. So I'm guessing the purpose of 420 Media is really to educate not just, you know, the public on all things cannabis. So tell me a little bit more about that and what is going to happen with this channel before you got cut off.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, 420 Media was created to help cannabis, hemp, and CBD brands reach their consumer. You know, and part of that education is what's a transdermal patch? What's a tincture? What are these products that people are using? Mostly in the West Coast, it's been primarily until the past few years. So, you know, when we started in 14, I know for a fact no one understood what these products were where I came from. So that's what it really started, that process. And then in the interim, as we build up, I consider 420 as an agency, you know, and that's where we're going, being our three components, our digital strategy, you know, what's your goals and objective, your content creation, let's support those goals and objective. It's different social media versus a TV commercial. And then that distribution, again, is based on the initial strategy. We already know where we're going to distribute. So whether it's a sponsor on Cawfee Talk or it's a commercial on television or social media, I mean, just relative to what that consumer and who they're trying to reach. As far as the TV channel, that's actually a partnership with I have some really, really key players coming in from the television industry and the advertising world, Emmy Award winners, and you know, a real legit team that, you know, we'll be announcing soon as things move forward. But I put up a website just to share the information, give a little insights into the videos, and really start getting subscribers. You know, our main thing right now is we want to see who's interested. I need to see what those numbers are. Do people care about cannabis content? Where is it that they care? And let's dissect those markets as well. And so for this channel in particular, it's like the cable of cannabis. So while we have content which will start that infrastructure, we have partners that will be in distribution. We'll be selling commercial space. We'll be having different sponsorship and product placement moving forward, and, you know, whether it be our grow shows or our cooking shows or whatever they are, because, you know, at the end of the day, the reason this is even being created and was ever thought of, it all goes back to when my aunt was sick or consequently died. And how do we reach each audience based on what their needs are, based on what they want? And not everyone cares about the dying kid. They just don't. And so they care about the money, right? Or they care about that entrepreneurship, or they care about their rights. And so they're going to fight for that political. And so, you know, or athletes, which is why I work with a lot of athletes or nurses and doctors, right? And so who are people going to listen to? How can I, Kerry, and then 420 Media work with them to bring their story out to the forefront? And for me, as a trained actress and producer and director, it's literally what I knew and what I know. So it's you know, I mean, the truth is, when I first started, my friends were like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to trim. I didn't even know what trimming was, to be honest with you, when I said this. And then when I first started, I did learn how to grow and go through all those. So I knew what I was talking about. And my friend was like, you are the worst trimmer ever. You talk too much. You smoke too much. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Look at all this weed. Oh my God. You know, I was taking the kid out to lunch that was teaching me for an hour. Like, I was a straight New York City, like, oh my God, my mind's being blown, but oh, this is fun too. So let's have fun, right? Real nice. I mean, this is back in 13. So it was a different space. And you know, for me now it's about really like, let's just get this information out so people don't say, I can't find it. I don't know where this information is. Oh, you can't, you know, it doesn't help anyone with cancer. It doesn't help anyone with kids. It doesn't help this. Let's just share that information. I'm done fighting with people. I'm done arguing with people. It is what it is. We have an endocannabinoid system. You don't have to believe it. Don't. But we still have it, right? And so, you know, for those that do want to believe it, that those that are seeking that extra knowledge, you know, stories matter. Right? Stories matter in that personal experience. They matter in our business experience. I mean, you guys have had a lot of entrepreneurial experience in cannabis. We're not legal yet, right? So what happens when these businesses and people come in and want to start their businesses? Where do they get the information so they don't have to go down and make the same mistakes we've all made, right? Or we've all gotten screwed over, or those red flags that right now any of us would see in the 3 words someone says and we would run to where someone's telling you how excited they are because of those 3 words, because they just don't know better. And so I think it's a responsibility. It's something I set out to do as a soul mission. So it's very personal. It's very viable businesses. Make no mistake, I'm a very big businesswoman. There's investment involved. There's big partners. And the whole mission is, let's get this information out. Let's get it out on global. So,
you know, I think the common bond between all of us on here is we've been all educating, whether it's, you know, Pete and Colleen, as a nurse, Carrie, you've been educating the legislators and the attorneys, some of the hardest people to educate in this world, you know, and I know you've been educating our state. You're on the Hemp Council, correct? Tell me a little bit about some of the challenges with educating those type of audiences. And then I want to get to Pete and Colleen on, you know, because they're educating pretty much everybody from patients on up.
Well, for me, you know, it really started in as an attorney. I represent some of the least and most vulnerable individuals in our state, which are those that are incapacitated for whatever reason, whether they're elderly or they have some mental inability to care for themselves or make decisions. So in 2013 and 2014, as cannabis really began to take hold in our state and the possibility began that we might get a program, I started realizing there was a demographics of individuals that would be impacted that potentially would benefit from cannabinoid care, but didn't have a voice to make that assertion. And they would be relying on individuals who are affirmed through court proceedings to make those decisions for them, and or maybe it was just a mom or dad that didn't have any type of court authority. They were just acting in their fundamental right as a parent. And how do they make those choices in the state of Florida, especially as we began, certainly in 2013, 14, that was a really new thing in the state, especially up here in North Florida, where I'm, you know, Florida's still the Bible Belt, and we are very active in our community and in our church up here in North Florida. And it was a challenge for me to think about how are the individuals that I represent who are vulnerable, how will they have an opportunity to participate in this if they were, sorry, I'm homeschooling.
Good morning.
And how am I going to protect these individuals' rights to potentially participate? So what I did was I set out to learn everything I could about cannabis and what it was going to do for individuals who had ALS, who have dementia, who have Parkinson's, who are my demographics as an elder law attorney. I do wills, trust, estates. I really focus on guardianship, which is court appointment of individuals to oversee other individuals. So that led me down a path. I started meeting individuals like Mariah. I met you, Tom. If you remember, I traveled to Tampa to go to a CLE for attorneys, and that, you know, Michael and so many individuals were there just helping me to navigate my field of expertise. And as I did that, I started holding, free seminars up here in North Florida. I invited Annalise up here, Annalise Clark. We had Dr. Newton come, and it was free. I didn't want people to be charged because it was, let alone, such a taboo in 2015 and 16 to talk about, especially up here in North Florida. I just wanted to set out something that would be accessible and first of all, unfearful for people. And so that led my journey into cannabis, which led me speaking to my community of professionals, which is what Carrie was talking about, building on your community of people and your wheelhouse and doing what you know. So that led me to speaking to lawyers and judges and speaking to individuals about how the onset of cannabis, not just marijuana, but hemp also, will be impacting every single one of us, whether it's a judge that has to make a decision on the probable cause of whether this was a federally protected plant, as in hemp, or whether this was a federally illegal plant of marijuana in this state. Then, careful now. Then we built on, then in 2016, I traveled up to Asheville. Kinsley, come on, we're going to talk about hemp. All my friends are helping me. Listen. I traveled up to Asheville. I woke up at 4 a.m, traveled up to a Mother's Earth. Kinsley, come on. A Mother's Earth thing. And I met Franny, and she did a talk with Blake, with a couple different individuals up there about hemp. And I switched gears. I loved cannabis and I loved marijuana, but I knew my heart was transitioning to something that was, to me, so much bigger in opportunity because of other things it did. So I still have a passion for cannabis, marijuana, and I still have a passion for MJ. But when I switched gears, I didn't stop. I would go, and I'm sure most of you who know me know, go out there and see. When I hit the ground running with hemp, I traveled. It didn't matter where I had to go. I was going to. I
ran into you in Colorado just out of the blue. I was walking into an event and you were walking out. Remember that? Like 2 years ago.
Actually, I wasn't walking out. I was being escorted out. I
didn't want to say that. But Carrie did get thrown out of the event that I was going in the side door. She was being escorted out the side door.
Me as a lawyer, I was in Colorado. I was so excited to be in a recreational state. No children, no husband. I was just there in the moment, my community and my people. Yes, Kinsley. I see you. Catch that lizard, babe.
This was the best. I'm walking in and I see her coming out and she is angry as all. Tell the story, Carrie.
Thousands, and Mariah Barnhart and Kim Edwards had me behind their thing, their conference table, and I was excited. I was in a recreational state and I could do recreational cannabis and feel safe. I tried it one time and right there was a police officer. And I was like, and she said, "You out of here." I was like,
wow.
Me. And Mariah and Kim are just looking at me and shaking their head like this. Oh my God. And I got out.
No, I think she might have went like this.
Yeah.
So I spent thousands of dollars and time and effort to get there. So needless to say, I went home, I changed, I came back with a hat on, put a hoodie, and I went back through the conference.
I have the pictures of her. She looks like that celebrity in a hoodie, trying not to be mistaken. It was
awful. So and then I started learning about all the things that hemp can do from an industrial standpoint. I'm a German. German dual citizen. And so I started doing all my research over in the EU and what they were perpetuating with growing from an industrial standpoint. I went and visited the first seed separating company out in North Minnesota, which is a company called Forsberg. They built the first seed separator for Manitoba. I was so excited to be connected to these individuals that helped build the foundation, I feel, from the beginning, from the other standpoint, not the medicinal standpoint of what hemp can do, but from the industrial side. And, then getting tied up with Bob Clayton, who has the hemp house in Tarpon Springs, and really connecting with him, and then going out to Idaho, being with Maddie and Tommy from Hempatexture, and helping to build some of those interesting foundations in the Idaho projects, and trying to bring that back home to Florida and let them know that we have other options in this state, and medicinal is wonderful and it has options and we can do it here, but we can also do some really amazing other things, and not even to mention what the betting side, and I don't mean betting as in betting on horses, I mean betting as in betting them in their stall, and poultry betting, and really making a better community, toilet paper and paper, and you guys know where this is going. So when I was able to connect with the former chemist who built Bacardi, who wanted to get into the hemp processing, I was blown away. And I said, "You're in my backyard. You're 30 minutes away. And you want me to come, talk to you about this?" He said, "Please." We were on our way. I mean, you can't get any better than that. And, right now we're busy making hand sanitizer, and we're pumping that out by the tankers. We get a tank, which is 7,800 gallons of ethanol every 3 days. So we're pumping out the sanitizer right now to the individuals on the front line. But when we can get back to it, we have, a really interesting processing facility. It's by no means perfect, but we're something. And I was absolutely lucky to walk into 120 acres of land here in my hometown. That is my partner, an equestrian veterinarian who's focused on bedding. And we're working with the University of Florida to legitimize bedding for animals with the world equine equestrian community, to ensure that we're not going to have any issues when our thoroughbred community decides to transition to bedding as a choice versus, wood shavings and pines. That being said, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm still an attorney. I'm still helping the community of elders.
This is awesome. And I wanted to give everybody just a little background on everyone. And I want to come back to you, Carrie, and I want to talk about what happened yesterday in Florida. But before that, Nurse Colleen, I know I watch you guys do a show every single morning, Monday through Friday.
Right.
You and some guy, Pete, or somebody, Oh, there he is. There he is.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, though, about, because before you started doing the 710 show, you were educating nurses, and you were also educating physicians as well. So tell us a little bit about your history pre-710 morning show, and then what you guys are doing right now to help, people, educate themselves.
I'm a registered nurse, and I have experience in the hospital as well as home health. And I just saw how bad pharmaceuticals were. They're very poisonous, how bad opioids are, and benzodiazepines, how addictive they are. And then also the harm to your liver and kidneys that other pharmaceuticals do. And it wasn't until I got into trying CBD myself that I really saw the benefits, the medicinal benefits of cannabis. I mean, I was always, I would consume marijuana since I was a teenager, but that was just like recreational to relax and just unwind. But it wasn't until I really tried the CBD and really stuck with it for 3 or 4 weeks that I felt a difference and felt really better. And then I got into dispensaries. I was working at dispensaries just to educate myself, and clinics, managing clinics and educating the community. And now Pete and I do the 710 morning show.
And you guys do that every single morning, and and you touch on topics like inhalation, product that the consumers can, and product safety, consumer safety, like that.
News, different news, events.
Yeah, we try and cover it all.
We're trying to break the stigma as well, because we're up early, we're active, we're productive members of society, we're helping the community, but we're also cannabis consumers. And we're patients ourselves.
And I think that right now, this period of time, the adaptation period that we're going through, we're all learning that, this industry more than ever, Pete says it all the time, with the innovation of like SoundCloud, you think that there was a ton of great music out there, but now there's a ton of information out there. There's a ton of people doing live videos, live chats, putting content out there, and not all of that content is always correct, reliable, or from, people that have the best interest of the public at hand. And, I think that falls into play with, Kerry, what you're doing with connecting brands, what Kerry has been doing with, connecting, the industry and the legislators to help change the laws that are out there, and with communicating with the community as well. Now, Kerry, I do want to ask you, so with the vote in Florida, did they do that through teleconferencing? What has changed? Because, and tell us about, you're on the Hemp Council, is that correct?
No, not me. No. I do not. I don't sit on any of the boards, any of the committees, any of the appointed lists. Not that I, don't have the education qualifications or so forth. I really have, not been the best cheerleader in our state. I am a squeaky wheel. Maybe don't always play nice in a sandbox with others. But that's okay.
That's why I have all three of you women on here today.
I've got people. I've got individuals like Cheryl. I mean, I've got individuals, Michael, that are at my disposal. I'm tiny and mighty. I don't feel the need that I have to sit on these boards. Josephine Carell sits on a board. Bob Clayton sits on a board. I got a message within 2 minutes from the Department of Agriculture the moment that, it was signed. I had notice of the individuals that were on the first seed list that they passed out before it was even, sent out, and got in a little trouble because I was spouting off about that. But, at the end of the day, I do, I feel like the players in this game in Florida are still at the forefront. I remember meeting Bob Clayton
as well.
That's what I mean on the hemp side, strictly on the hemp side. I can't speak to the cannabis side. I left that a long time ago, just because it hurt me what was happening in our state. But I can say from the cannabis side, from the marijuana side, I'm participating and having a great time in the state of Michigan. That's what I can say. My husband left yesterday, and he's there tending to our first harvest. And we're looking to do some very interesting things up in that state. What I can tell you is look for the city of Kalkaska. The state of Michigan donated or set aside $3 million in their appropriations for a cannabis outdoor recreational center for cannabis events in Michigan. They are extremely heartfelt towards this plant. They are excited about what it will do. The state of Michigan needs this, and I'm participating up there, and I hope you guys take advantage of what's happening up in that north state. Unfortunately, right now, COVID is hitting them pretty hard, so I can't speak to what's happening right now, but my husband's there safe and tending to what's going on. There's a lot of individuals I know of that are participating up there, and it's going to be a really fun state. I'm excited. But from the hemp side, back to the hemp side. Sorry, back to the hemp side. You may not
know the answer to this next question that I was going to ask you then, but have you seen any economic studies on what hemp will do for the state of Florida? As far as I believe you have seen those, correct?
I have. And what I can tell you is it is dependent not only upon where you lie in the state of Florida. Our state and our soils are so so different. If you're talking about the Panhandle to Jacksonville to even Orlando and South, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a soil scientist. I just know what I know from being in the environments and being around the farms. I go to every extension meeting I can, whether it's North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. I make those meetings. Ask the people in Tennessee, the farmers that know me from being at their farmers meetings, not from being at any public events or anything like that, but from being with the farmers at the extension meetings. In Florida, I can tell you it's going to depend on where you lie and where your property is and what genetics you choose. And if you're doing a grain, a fiber, or if you're doing a medicinal. And I know there's a lot of farmers that are wanting to do a fiber. Our processing, we don't have a processor anywhere near. If we can get a processor that can do a true grain and fiber or a true fiber processing, then we can do something in the state. But right now, all we have are processors for medicinal side. And I'm one of them. I mean, I'm trying to take advantage. I know how to process cannabis. I'm sorry, I know how to process hemp for industrial purposes. I've been to Europe. I've seen machinery that will blow your mind. But the funding is not there. The USDA is just not there yet for us, for the infrastructure. But hopefully they've turned around. You guys saw the press release 2 days ago. I mean, the presidential report with Purdue. They are looking to innovate farmers and innovate technologies. And if we can take advantage of those 9002 and 9003 programs under the federal law for innovation of technologies for alternative uses, and somehow craft that for hemp, we will be able to take advantage of those programs.
That's excellent. And our farmers need that. You're out there with the farmers, and, obviously Florida's been decimated, with the oranges, how we've lost that, that breed of farmer here, and the land that, has been lost to that. So hopefully, Florida will be able to regain that, and the Fresh from Florida seal will mean something. More so than it does today, and I'm kind of excited for that. And you're in North Carolina right now, Kerry. You showed me a pack of hemp cigarettes that you picked up over there. Can I see those again? So those are all just hemp?
Yeah, these are cool. These are Asheville Hemp Project. Leslie is a female-owned company, and she sent over some tincture and a gum. The gum's downstairs. They're really cool though. They're all hemp. And what she said is apparently this is like a proprietary filter that keeps the flower fresh. And so I had one yesterday. I'm a cannabis smoker generally, but I do enjoy a hemp cigarette once in a while for like the body, kind of takes the edge off type of deal. And I found that they were enjoyable. They think they burned really well. I didn't cough at all. It tasted nice, really clean. Again, I'm on the fence of feeling wise when you consume as much THC as most of us. It's just different, and so I'll tell you though, a couple months ago I took a little break from smoking herb, and I fortunately had a lot of different CBD products from events that I've gone to, and I was like, and so what I found was what it did help was it helped curb cravings, because normally I would have been crawling out of my skin, literally, not thinking about anything else. I just gotta, get balanced. And I found that different than times I took a break before, using the CBD really just helped cut that craving. And so instead of crawling out of my skin, I was like, okay, I'll go do some yoga. I'll go for a run. I'll go do, be proactive in that instead of allowing my mind to be give me something. Right. And so
I think that's great. And I don't know if you remember, I did a 30-day break from cannabis. Then I did a 30-day break from Facebook. Both of those were hugely beneficial. I love both of them. I think one I did started November 15th. One I started September 15th. But I felt like I reset my system. And then it's funny. I was going through all the free samples I had of CBD stuff.
Yeah.
I got all these bags. And people would give it to me. I'd be like, yeah, I'll take it. In the early days, I'd be like, that's fake weed. But really, these last few years have come around. Now, I did use CBD high strains when I was medicating, but I used ACDC and I used Harlequin, and those were derived from marijuana. And I really never saw the benefit. And then I used them during that period of time when I took a break. And I actually lost weight. I felt better. And then when I came back to using cannabis, you know, I'm not using it as often. And I know Pete and Colleen, you guys talk about those type of cleanses and detoxes that patients do or they're doing right now because we're all under quarantine. So I don't know about you guys, but you know, probably a lot of people are going through a lot more cannabis than they're used to, and they're either going to need a 30-day detox after this, or they're considering doing a 2 or 3 day one. What do you recommend, Colleen, for people?
Well, I keep saying I want to do a tea break, but Pete's like, I don't. He's not ready for it. It'd be really hard for him.
It's Pete's birthday. Maybe after his birthday.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah,
definitely
we'll see.
like adding the hemp flower into the joints to help extend the flower in general, just to help. But it does give you a nice relaxing, like it helps your body. Like with me, the anxiety I get in my stomach, it helps to relax. And we add it into the joints. Nice.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rounds it out well.
Yeah.
Well,
But it would definitely take the edge off.
I talked a lot of shit to Clint Palmer in Tennessee. I remember he's a bit, you know, he grows a lot and he's very well respected in the state of Tennessee as a hemp grower. And I'm a cannabis user and, you know, in recreational states. And I flew out there or whatever. And he was like, sit down, girly. And I was like, he's like, you always talk so much trash about this hemp. I'm about to blow your mind. I'm like, whatever. It's right. So
Right.
he sits down, he had all this hemp curing all over his house. It was, I felt like I was like 16 again. And so he walked in, he grabs it and he takes an old like a hair straightener. I'm not kidding. I was like, what are you doing? An old hair straightener. He took 2 pieces of wax paper. He stuck this piece of hemp in between. He stuck it down. He wrenched it down with a pair of like whatever those things are called. I'm like, what is going on? 10 seconds or a little while later, he scraped that. We tried the dab.
Yeah.
I was like, are you sure this is them?
No, it's true. Yeah.
Those terpenes.
Yeah. He did
Yeah,
that on the
man.
floor one day with the flat iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're making the rosin? Yeah, with the rosin press.
Yeah.
With the hemp.
No, with the flat iron.
Tennessee charm. That was a charm. Tennessee charm, I'll tell you.
So what's everybody's plans for 420? What do you guys have planned, you know, coming up? I mean, I know we all thought that this whole month was going to be, you know, conference after conference and fun, but you know, what are you guys planning for 420?
It's gonna be a lot like 420.
It's his birthday.
419 and 421.
Welcome to 50, Pete.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We were just talking about
Well,
that.
there's a lot of like national stuff now that we
Yeah,
can see virtually.
Yeah, there's the Noctopia thing that's started actually today, and then like CBS, Fox, NBC. It's going to be impossible to avoid that. Then there's like a bunch of other virtual events that they have on. I mean, honestly, I want to get outside a little bit, you know, maybe breathe some fresh air, and you know, there isn't really much you can do, you know, except for, you know, try and connect with people, you know, like this, you know.
I think it might be fun to have us watching something. Like we'll do a watch party of us watching another.
So the beaches are going to be open in Jack's beaches.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
So you can,
Strange time. It's only open from 5 to 8, and then tomorrow morning from early morning until 11 a.m. and then it closes again from 11 to 5, and then it opens back up. It's only surf times.
so they're letting the surfers get out there and get exercise, and you know that's something they may do with, you know, allowing people to exercise in gyms. You know, Carrie, I know you're doing a lot more interviews, online interviews. I saw you had our friend Ricky on, or you were on with Ricky the other night. You know, he's out on the West Coast, I assume, right now. You know, what do you have anything special planned for 420?
I'm not quitting that day for sure. That I know. I think I'm gonna enjoy people's 420. There's a lot of virtual 420 events and speakers. So I'd like to go, you know, check out what people are saying and what their deal is. I have been doing a lot of interviews personally, so it gives me a time to check other people out and hear what's going on with them, smoking a lot, stuff like that, you know, kind of like every day. I don't know.
I think
a lot more now.
I think Carrie. Tom. I think Carrie is your first guest outside of myself to properly pronounce the name of the show, Coffee Talk.
Coffee Talk. Yeah.
Sure.
I just noticed in the background the cannabinoids and wellness for every experience.
Yes.
That's so cute. Yeah.
Cannabinoids and wellness for every experience. So yeah, my wife opened up a coffee shop right in the middle of this pandemic, obviously. So eventually we're going to be able to have gatherings. I'm going to this underground jujitsu smokeout. It's like underground on 420, but it's invite only. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding for all the crazies out there. I don't want
don't announce that. Don't announce that.
The death threats are coming already in my email box. You are going to kill people if you smoke and do jujitsu.
I can tell you up here, we have 5 dispensaries in our little beach area, in our just Jack's Beach. So, which is a very small span. And I've talked to them because as long as we're on golf carts, we can go up and down the streets. So I'm hoping that we can get people to stand on their front yard and like use maracas or something.
We have to all sing happy birthday to Pete.
I donated to your psychedelic nurses.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much.
Very smart. I like it. Good job.
And that's another. We should have a whole show about psychedelics, but
maybe we should be required to have some before that show.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And Pete brought up, the Nugtopia thing is all weekend. They have a great lineup. I know me and Pete are on Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then I'm also hosting the doctors. My normal Coffee Talk show is I'm going to be doing 3 shows on Monday with Nugtopia. So Nugtopia is doing, I believe that they're raising some money for a charity. And they've put together a great list of different speakers all weekend. So I know Nugtopia has that going on, which should be pretty interesting. But to be quite honest, I want to get around people again. I don't know how you guys are.
Yeah.
This is okay, but I mean, I really can't wait until we come out. And, maybe that's the thing. What's the first thing that you're going to do, Carrie, when this quarantine is over?
Me?
Yeah, Carrie.
I'm gonna hug people.
Oh.
You're gonna hug people? You think it's gonna be weird doing that first hug?
No. Oh, my soul. You gotta feel it. And we all we like this is a horrible stuff that we're going through, but we're people of touch, right? Like we need that kind of connection. And our body is filled with viruses and bacteria already. So I think that we have to just keep that balance of not moving down the fear road too much where we're actually going to harm ourselves.
After all this is over, how long do you think it'll take before you hug a complete stranger, Pete?
Me? A complete stranger? Have I ever hugged a complete stranger?
I was going to say, I love at every event, I'm hugging everybody. I love hugging. It feels so good.
This is like normal to me. I'm like in my world. Like nobody can talk to me. Nobody can
touch me.
But I don't know. I don't know how willing I'm going to be to hug strangers now right away. Anyway, it'll probably be a while.
I'm going to probably want to hug people.
Yeah.
Probably. I got to crave interaction.
Have you ever just hugged somebody and it was the wrong person?
I screamed at someone yesterday and it was the wrong person. I could have swore it was my girlfriend on her bike. And I'm in my little office and I'm screaming, Lisa!
Hey, Carrie, I have a question from there. What is the name of the CBD cigarettes from High Class and Carrie?
Another Carrie.
Yeah. Carrie.
South Florida, Naples. Do you know Miss Matthew? He's got a restaurant in Naples, but he also grows, and this is his line. It's called Billy's All Naturals, and I don't smoke at all. I gave these all to a bunch of veterans when my husband and I were out at doing something, and they didn't have any smokes, and I was like, oh, I have something again from being, people sending you all kinds of stuff. And he sent me a bunch of tea and stuff, but these have really taken off and we've had a lot of good success with them. And he's right out of Naples, but he's a restaurant owner. And right now he's doing a lot with his restaurants to help benefit, obviously, all the Naples first responders and so forth. But, I am excited about what Florida is going to be participating in, Tom, and what our farmers can now have an opportunity to explore. Is it going to be the big fix for our state? Is it going to help all of our blueberry farmers, our strawberry farmers? Quite frankly, some of our biggest hit families are pine and tree farmers out in the Panhandle. Is it going to fix our community and our farming problems? I don't know. I think we're just as at risk as all these other states, with thousands of farmers sitting on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of hemp.
And that brings up a good point. We also have some farmers right now that are going to take devastating losses. They have tomatoes that are not being purchased because restaurants are not open. We have, all these produce. And again, the state of Florida, we have no income tax here in this state. Our entire government runs on sales tax and the sale of products through restaurants and through taxing memberships in gyms. And, so I don't know if people realize the deficit that our federal government is going to have. And, these farmers that are going to have to devastate they're going to have to destroy hundreds of thousands of pounds of tomatoes. They're going to have to make that up on their next harvest. So either we're going to see increases in produce prices as this comes back, or there's going to be some adjustments. And people don't realize it really starts at the farm level for everything.
Oh, absolutely. That's my biggest concern is, come on, Kylie, is the farmers in Florida that are hoping or have been sold this line that hemp is going to be their great savior. And it started 2 years ago. I was getting calls from farmers in Wellington that I deal with. Wellington, Florida, there's some stuff down there, guys. And, I'm getting phone calls like, hey, do you know this guy just walked on my property with 5 hemp mother plants? I'm like, dude, what? Trying to sell them to them last year, trying to sell the big dream. So, there's going to be a lot of hurt, but there's going to be a lot of success as well. And I wish everyone the very best. And it's about due diligence. So long as you take your time and you do your due diligence and you ensure that those you're trying to work with are who they say they are and their credentials meet. Come on. You can research who they are. And I saw so many deals and so many things last year where money was just thrown around with nothing. And I hope that we learned our lessons, and I hope individuals are coming back to our state with good intent.
Yeah, because I saw it in Arizona, 86% of the hemp farmers failed on their crops out there. And because of the different climate and, what was happening with testing hot and having to destroy entire batches and then some farmers breaking their land into smaller quadrants. So if they tested hot in a smaller quadrant, they can mitigate those larger quadrants. I think there's going to be a large learning curve, but once we get through that learning curve, we have a whole new industry that could generate revenue for the state of Florida. That's exciting. We may have a whole new, we may have the opportunity to produce products right here in our state that we're currently importing from China that we may no longer need to import from China. So on the same end of it, I see a lot of opportunity once we come out of this to build our state and our country a little bit stronger. As we're seeing, different states are going to implement different rules as far as coming back based on what's good for those states. I don't know, but I have a feeling that the fact that we don't have that state income tax and that we really rely on state sales tax, that our governor is going to implement some measures to get the economy going sooner than later.
Again, it boils down to the infrastructure. The infrastructure in our state has to take advantage of this time right now to expedite their building for facilitation of drying, processing, and market use. You've got to have all of those things ready, because when they pull the trigger on April 27th and those farmers start popping, you as a person in the industry, wherever you fit in, whether it's Carrie, who's going to be bringing new lines to market, or Colleen, who's trying to help different individuals learn about this. It's going to take them getting ready now, because our infrastructure is not ready in this state. I can say that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I don't think that we have enough things to facilitate something beyond medicinal so far.
Yeah, well, not only that, even with medicinal, if everybody starts growing and there's nobody to process, that's an issue, because, if it's not dried, cured, the plant isn't cared for the right way, the test results are going to come back hot, or they're not going to come back in a positive way for a good medicinal product, and we're going to suffer on quality as well.
Still medicine.
Still medicine.
Yeah, still growing medicine.
And just to add to what you were saying, I mean, I know there's a learning curve, but really, like, this isn't new. This,
right.
It's really not. So whether it's, especially if you're growing for medicine, because hemp grown for medicine is much more similar to hemp grown for cannabis than for fiber. And so I think that, there are experts for real. You might have to dig or find someone like me who knows them. But they know that how to grow that plant in each different environment, in each different soil, for how long, what will happen, how you can process it. And then to add to that, which is a huge mistake we see right now, and we've seen people losing money, everyone wants to grow, but no one's thinking about how they're getting it to market, right? What are those products going to be? And so you're absolutely right. People should be dealing with people like myself, or even Pete and Nurse Colleen, if they're going to go on to, any sort of distribution, any sort of marketing. I mean, how are you getting on shelf space? Are you an online business? Are you a retail business? There's so many variables. And I think people are just so apt to bridge this, hemp or CBD or cannabis. And they're very distinct industries in their own right. And I think that if people really took it in that way, instead of just running to the green rush, right? Let's just get money so we can go public, right? We'll take a shell company and look what we'll do, right? Or, hey, we're the farmers of the world. We're the best, right? You're not the best unless you have been growing this plant in particularly for years, right? What do they say? It's 10,000 hours for any expert, right? That's the thing. So, but I do believe that the experts exist. If you go to Humboldt, if you go to Washington, if you go in, people have been growing. This is not new. We're all users for many, many years before the industry existed. So you want to save money, spend money, right?
And that's so true. And some of these experts that I know, they failed many times before they got to where they are. Tyler Markowart right now is out in Washington, has a huge farm they're growing on, and he's gone out. He's been hired by some big money people to try and plant in the deserts in Vegas and Nevada, where he's told them it's not going to work there, but they bring him in anyway, and the entire thing fails. And a lot of people are very smart in one aspect, whether it's in the financial world or in that capital markets, but they don't realize they need an entire ecosystem. If this thing is going to work, or any product or any project is going to work, you said it so best, Carrie. You need not only that product, you need distribution. You need connection to the community and marketing. You need, systems in place to help build the brand and connect with consumers. And then you also need, on top of that, oil for your engine. You need capital, and you need money to come in. So a lot of people think because they have a lot of money, they could just buy the other things, or they don't have to worry about the other things. And other people think because they're such an expert in one piece of this industry that everybody else is an idiot and they don't need them. So, they're the best at being a farmer, and they're going to farm the best product, and they don't need anybody, but they don't realize they need those people on the front lines, putting the product on the shelf, educating the consumer at the point of purchase or through some kind of medium, if it's all going to work. And, the big brands that are throwing money at it, we're seeing them, they're failing, and a lot of the smaller groups that are doing it grassroots. Maybe they're not so big and they don't have the big press releases, but they're experiencing success day over day, week over week, month over month. And they're doing that from stepping in some potholes and making small adjustments. And, you know, I think once the big money people that come in and realize that just because they have money, they can't buy experience, they're going to have to either, you know, partner with the people that have the experience or, you know, or continue to do what they're doing. And we're going to see a lot more people in this industry fail, unfortunately, because of their own stubbornness.
Very true.
What do you got?
How about if we had an expert grower and then an expert processor and then an expert educator? And I mean, I can look at us on this show, an expert attorney, and then my distribution is going to be an expert coffee shop that sells CBD, and then I'll go to the expert market maker. And so now I've just grabbed all of those pieces, our team that's going to be rolling in the lanes that we are experts in and we enjoy. And then we're going to come together and bring that together. And so when people can take their ego, because ego is really big in this space and particularly, almost bigger than entertainment, to be honest with you. And I've dealt with celebrities prior to this. And so I think that I think a lot of things have shaken up over the past few years. And I think COVID is also shaking people up right now being home. So hopefully people are learning and doing that due diligence prior. But really, I mean, it's like look at baseball or football or any team, right? You don't just have one quarterback throwing into the air, right? You need someone to catch, you need someone to run, right? And you need that team.
We think so much alike. You know, I don't mean to cut you off. We think so much alike. I was just about to say, it's like if football was a brand new game and everybody that came out wanted to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, you ever see that one movie where the guy's like, I could be the quarterback, and they throw the ball at him and he hits him in the face? You know, I know you guys are going to peek. You know which one I'm talking about?
You know which one? The movie references.
He's like, let me be quarterback coach. Let me be. They were in the jail. You know, they were all in jail with Burt Reynolds.
The longest yard.
Longest yard, yeah. He's like, I could be quarterback coach. You know, everybody wants to be quarterback. You know, and you don't realize you need cheerleaders. You need the bench. You need exactly what you just said, Kerry. You need a team, but you need the best at that. You need the best placeholder. You need the best kicker. You know, and just because that kicker doesn't know how to throw the fucking ball, it doesn't matter. You know, stop looking for perfection.
And then that brings in the audience, right? The same as the games. If the teams are not working together, we're not spending money to go to a football game or baseball game or anything. And so it's the same thing with a product. You can call it CBD all day long, but if it's not working for any of us for whatever that use is, it's nonsense. It's just nonsense. And so we're not going to continue to spend our money on nonsense, and not now. I mean, we're going into a real recession here for people. So, you know, the money matters, what we're doing, and our health matters. So, you know, those tests are going to be more imperative than they were ever before. But not only the tests, but who's testing the testers? So we know what we're even getting. And so I think that, again, working together is much more beneficial. There's people that work in labs they don't want to come out of their labs and do marketing. That's just, they don't want to. And nor do I want to go into it.
Right.
And so I think it's really, if you can find that team and find that respect, right? You have to respect each other too. And you know, we have egos maybe in our own right? And we have gone through shit before. So it's what makes us experts is because we failed so many times, right? We got our asses kicked and lost money or friends or business, whatever it is. And so here we are in a place. By the way, we're barely legal. Hemp is like just cusping legal. No one knows the difference. And then we're still federally not even near legalization with the way the presidency looks right now. So, you know, when we're talking about industries and what we can do, we're the infrastructure right now. Us, all of us on here and people in the industry. And if we don't build it right, then then it serves us right when corporate comes in and takes it over.
You know, we have an opportunity. I think that we're seeing a lot with state that it's going to come down to states' rights with everything. You know, adult use has been legalized, and they've shown that state rights override federal rights when it comes to adult use. I think that some of the states that that do not have adult use or recreational marijuana right now and are not receiving the tax benefit of that. I love after this entire thing to see the recreational or adult use states where the sales of cannabis and the taxing of it has maybe picked up. You know, Nevada has to be getting decimated. Their restaurants, their casinos, everything's closed right now. The only thing that's selling out there is recreational and adult cannabis. You know, in California, in Oregon, in Washington, I think Illinois. Pete, you can correct me if not, but Massachusetts just said that adult use was not essential, so they shut down the Massachusetts adult use, and that's where the comparison. They were trying to say, well, alcohol is essential, and the argument was that if you cut off alcohol from people, they'll have withdrawal symptoms and go into the hospital. But marijuana is not addictive, so we can cut that off to them. That was one of the arguments.
Them is saying marijuana is not addictive and take that out and use that later.
Yeah, and that was one of the arguments that they allowed alcohol in the state of Massachusetts, but they cut off adult use cannabis. And I don't know. I want to get Andy Williams on here if I can from Colorado, or somebody from Colorado, if they're doing delivery of adult use out in Colorado right now. But I'm sure that their sales have been hit because a lot of tourists, you know, come to Colorado and consume cannabis when they're there on vacation, ski trips, hiking, and that whole industry has been decimated as well. So I think the economic impact that we're going to see, good and bad, we're going to see some numbers, and I think BDS Analytics has those numbers, and they'll be publishing, you know, what these sales have been. But you know, if states will take notice, there's an opportunity for some states to maybe legalize adult cannabis. I mean, geez, we allow everybody to go spend their Social Security check at the Hard Rock every single month right now, don't we?
Michigan is booming.
Yeah.
I can tell you that state has not slowed their progression. I have to say, you know, I told you I turned my cheek on marijuana back in 2016 when I laid my eyes on its cousin, hemp, but my eyes are turning back to old sister, you know, as Michigan gets funner and funner every time I go. And the flights keep getting cheaper and cheaper every time.
Yeah, well, I think with the COVID, it's going to push to more of a preventative health. And I think that CBD and cannabis will become much more popular.
And plant medicine as a whole, you know, plant medicine and changing diets and, you know, basically building your immune system based on deficiencies.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think being deemed essential is huge.
Yep.
I mean, that's going to be a huge push for all of us to really, whether it's on an education, whether it's legally dealing with politicians, whether it's even selling your products at your store. I mean, the fact that it was deemed essential in any way. I mean, we could get weed easier than toilet paper right now, for real.
Yeah. Well, you know, our intention over here at Valrico is we want to eventually have a consumption lounge here where people can safely come and consume, and we can have, you know, adult use, and we can do fun events like, you know, Stroke and Smoke with Noctopia, and we can do infused dinners and all
I had
that.
a different idea about Stroke and Smoke. I'm like, what is Stroke?
Yeah, you know, right now we're forcing people to go to bars where they're consuming alcohol, which we know kills millions and millions of people every year. You know, and we're not allowing we're just allowing for choice. So hopefully we can get the ear of some legislators after this, and they can see what's happened in some of the other states, and we can have some data, and we can, you know, manipulate that data, Pete, so it looks good.
Those numbers.
You know, we're inching up on an hour. So before we end this, you know, any last words, you know, Carrie, Nurse, Colleen, anything that you guys want to say, anything you want to plug that you're doing this weekend or, you know, that's going on? Let's start with Carrie up in Jax.
Just the opening of the beaches are happening. We always have an opening of the beaches, and we're going to try and keep that normalcy going with like a parade of golf carts. I've got my 2 kids, trying to care after them while my husband's up there caring after our girls, our ladies up in Michigan. And other than that, I'm excited to participate in Florida as we get ready for 4/27 as our cultivation license goes live. I'm excited for that. Be careful, be safe, wear your masks. I've got mine. I'm so glad to be here with each and every one of you. I know you're all very important to me and what we do. And basically stay humble and stay true to what you're doing and stay in your lane, I guess. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Stay in your lane. You know, don't start looking to the left and right and trying to do everything.
Yeah.
My wife has a Mr. Do Right spoon she pulls out too. But
I'll have to work on getting one. Put the wrong way.
She just hits me when nobody's looking. Carrie,
but you like it.
Carrie, how about you? When is your channel going to go live? And, you know, is there any new content, anything that we can do to keep up with 420 Media?
Yeah, so for the channel it's under is called thenewcannabischannel.com. And that's just, like I said, our information site until we announce everything through, you know, as it releases. So subscribers, if anyone can just share, we really, like, I really need subscribers. It's free to subscribe. I need to see what these numbers look like. And if people are they interested in, we will be selling, you know, placement and different opportunities for brands that are seeking exposure. So, you know, placement in our shows with, let's say, Marv Washington. We have a show that he hosts called Fifth Quarter. We have a show with nurses. We have a show at the Urine, Tom, that we filmed with the green screen. That's Faces of Cannabis, and it's real key players sharing their story and sharing insights into this industry. So, you know, we're not creating action movies here. This is cannabis content and education. And hopefully it's entertaining. And so newcannabischannel.com, and then 420media.us is our 420 Media site. So, you know, we work a lot right now with paid marketing. If people are seeking, you know, paid marketing, streaming TV, streaming radio, I mean, taxi cabs, billboards, any of that, we have partners in, and it's hyper targeted, data driven. So we have analytics. We can push through zip code. We can go through on data of age and demographics and finance, animals, whatever it is someone's promoting. So any clinics or dispensaries, this is really, really good for them to start reaching that audience, that newer audience, through those mainstream. And so again, like, thank you for having me on. You guys are all awesome. I've been checking out your show, Pete, and there's
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
F7, by the way, not F710. And Carrie, you're a superstar. We are definitely reconnecting after this call. So thank you for having me on. And Carrie at 420media.us is my contact information if anyone wants to get in touch. And thank you, and Cawfee Tawk.
You know, one of the great things when we were backstage before we went live, I loved that both Carrie and Carrie lit up.
One thing I haven't done on the show.
Colleen was just off screen. And Colleen, I know you got a busy weekend, and we're both going to be on Nugtopia on Monday. What else do you have going on? Can people find the past episodes of you're on show number 115, 116 now?
Yeah, we're pretty high up there. Yeah, like 115, 116. Yeah, you can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, the 710 morning show.
On the Twitter now.
Channel 710 on YouTube. But yeah, so 7:10 a.m. weekdays. We're thinking about doing something on the weekends, maybe 4:20 p.m. Check in with people.
Yep.
The Canna family likes to talk in the morning. They do a strain roll call, which is really cute. And then we're planning a really big event for after the quarantine, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
First ever.
Well, everybody's going to hug. We're going to do one big group hug with everyone. It's going to be a big ass group hug.
We got special shirts. You can hug me. We got the quarantine and shit.
I know, that's so cute. I love that.
And then I got the F this quarantine with your brother Robbie's face on it.
I'm looking forward to going to the artisan fair as well.
Yeah, and then we're tentatively looking at May 10th being the first date that we may be able to open up. Ybor Market had announced that they're opening up the first week of May. So, we're looking at possibly May 10th. Maybe not. Maybe it might be the fourth weekend in May or the first weekend in June. So we're going to see from there. And then, we're going to throw some other stuff. But I'm going to keep – we're continuing to do these shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, we're going to be on the Nugtopia. We're going to do our normal morning show all together, the same one. We're going to check back in with Mike Wong and with Robbie. And that was one of our early shows that we did a couple weeks ago. And then Wednesday, I have George Martirano from Philadelphia, which they just went around in Pennsylvania and shut down all the hemp stores that were selling edibles. So the enforcement came out. So I sent them up some legal – and Kerry, I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in Pennsylvania. I see you nodding. But I sent them information for their attorneys to talk to the legislators about what Florida's doing, because not everybody's happy with Florida. But I'll tell you what, we have a real program in place. We have a path to legal products. We have companies that are operating with permits, like my wife, Lisa. She operates under a hemp permit. We have all the products that we have in here operate under those guidelines, and there's a path to legal business, and we're operating under it, and not all states have that yet. So I know that the Florida, it's supposed to be the blue ribbon design for, or from what they've discussed, or the gold standard for other states to follow. And so I did send that up to the legislators out there to take a look at as well. So,
well, you should, Tom, quite frankly, we took enough time, so it should be fucking top notch. Okay?
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you, I looked at it from both ends. Now, not everything's perfect, but I'll tell you what, it was done and it was implemented quickly. The people that I dealt with, at least from a retailer's end of it, for my wife, were very educated and helpful. That were out there. The inspectors that I've met with have been good. So, I mean, I'm going to give the state of Florida and Nikki Fried an A++ for what has been done. And I know there's been a lot of people, but right now, companies are operating under it. That's and true. It's working.
I'm happy. I'm very glad. We were. Jeff Green corrected me. I thought we were number 8 in the state as a hemp processor. We're number 6 in the state. Ours was the 6th license. They spent 4 hours at our facility going tooth and nail through it, making sure that we, so yes, I'm satisfied. I've, several of but there's still some confusion. So let me explain that confusion real quick. I got a text message this morning from a CBD provider here in Jax Beach that's selling flower. And she said, Carrie, I'm still so fucking confused. Is it total THC or is it just THC? What is going on with Florida's testing? And she sent me what was on there. And she said the inspector came out and was totally confusing to her, but gave her a pass. And her hemp flower, I can guarantee you, is over 0.3.
Delta 9?
Not much. Huh?
Delta 9 or total?
Delta 9.
Interesting.
And the other piece that a lot of the inspectors are unfamiliar with as well.
So she called me this morning, flipping out. Am I? I was like, I don't advise you on that. You want me to write your will? No problem. But totally confused. And I'll write your estate plan, but scared, and she wants to know, and she's my neighbor, so I trudged over there and just gave her my neighborly through the window advice, but the confusion's still there in our state. So yes, the businesses are there, and if again, it's about your team and who you know in the team. So be diligent, be consistent, know your team, and get the answers because they're out there with the right people.
Yep, and we have a horizontal market that really anybody can participate in. It's not out of reach for economically for licenses or anything else like that. Whereas our vertical market in cannabis, it goes back to before. You know, they're trying to be everything. The quarterback, the cheerleaders, they're being the fans. You know, they're everything under one roof. And when you try and do everything under one roof, something's going to suffer. You know, and unfortunately, and I see our CBD market is going to evolve, or our hemp market. And congratulations on that processing license. By the way, I thought you were going to say it earlier, but you know, if Kerry didn't just let the cat out of the bag, it received their processing license. So eventually, a lot of the companies that are producing products here will be able to have them processed by companies that are based right here in Florida. So again, we're on the right path. Other states do not have things in place. They are just going in the gray area. And when you operate in the gray area, there is, you know, the chance that things are going to happen that are not going to be in your favor and can thwart operations, like what's happening in Pennsylvania right now. So hopefully we'll be checking in with George on Wednesday and find out what they're doing to combat that on the state level as well. And I want everybody to have a great weekend. And thank you guys so much for being on here.
Thank you. It was
All right.
awesome.
Good job.